So children, in this lecture we will study about irrational numbers. Earlier I had told you only the definitions. Now in this lecture we will study in details. So first I had told you earlier that what is irrational number. Definition was any number which cannot be written in the form P upon Q. P and Q are any integers and Q is not equal to 0. This definition I had told you earlier, that irrational numbers are what? Any number which cannot be written in the form P upon Q, where P and Q are any integer and Q is not equal to 0, which we have read earlier. Now second definition, every non-terminating and non-repeating decimal expansions are called irrational numbers. This I had told you earlier. Okay, so we got two definitions of irrational number. I am taking one example. Some example of this, like 0.01, you can see after 0.10 is there, then 20 is there, then 1, then 30 is there, then 1, then 40 is there, then 1. You can see, I mean 0 and 1 are digits, they are there, but they have different pattern as we move towards right side. Now first is 01, then 001, 001. Now the patterns are different. Okay, so this is also called non-terminating and non-repeating, because if we have written 0.01010101, then I can use bar on 01, but this cannot be written bar form. So this is also non-terminating and non-repeating. I just want to take one more example. Suppose if I took 0.54, again I am writing 554, then see here after 0.5 is there, then 4, then 5 is 2 times, then 4, now 5 will be 3 times, then 4, and it will continue. Again you can see digits are there, 5 and 4 are move towards right side is changing. Okay, so that's why such type of decimal expansions are also called what? Irrational numbers. I hope you understood. Now let me take another example. Now example number 2. What the example number 2 is, I just told you about this. Like suppose if there is a square root and under the square root, okay, we have non-perfect square number. Suppose under root m is there, where m is any non-perfect square number. In this case you will say then under root m is an irrational number. So if square root is there and under the square root, okay, if there is any non-perfect square number, then such type of numbers are also called irrational number. I just told you earlier. Examples: root 2, root 3, root 2 and root 3. 2 and 3 are non-perfect square number. Now example number 3. Example number 3 is what? If this is cube root, I just use 3 here, so this becomes cube root, and if there is cube root and there is any number under this cube root, okay, so where you write where m is any non-perfect cube, you will write cube, then cube root of m is an irrational numbers. Like examples, Example I am taking, suppose if I wrote cube root is there and I wrote 4. See, 4 is a perfect square number, but not a perfect cube number. This is not a perfect cube. That is why this is what? This is irrational number. You know what are perfect cube? Perfect cube I mean 8. 8 is a perfect cube because 2 to the power 3, that becomes 8. Okay, 64. 64 is also a perfect cube number. Whose perfect cube it is? 4 to the power 3. So, you will write it will become what? It will be 64. 125, 125, this is also a perfect cube number. How do you know? 5 to the power 3. Okay. Then in this case, you will tell that cube root of any non-perfect square number, this is also an irrational number. I hope you understood. Now, we are going to see very important note, just try to understand it. After that, we will see properties of irrational numbers. So, what I am going to tell, just write it as a note. What this note is, if q is a rational number, suppose if q is a rational number, any rational number, and q dash is an irrational number. Irrational number. What I said, suppose if q can be any rational number, q is any rational number, it represent rational number, and q dash represent any irrational number. Then q plus q dash means the sum of rational number and irrational number, that is irrational number. The sum of rational number and irrational number will be an irrational number. Understood? Now, difference of rational number and irrational number, this will also be an irrational number. You have to remember this. And now, product. The product of rational number and irrational number, this will always be an irrational number. Next one, the quotient of rational number and quotient means I will divide, irrational number is also an irrational number. Okay. So, these are the basic things you have to understand it. Then you will understand the properties of irrational numbers. Now, we are going to see properties of irrational numbers. So, first property, the sum of two irrational numbers need not be an irrational number. What it means? Like in the previous just example, I just told you the sum of rational number and irrational number is an irrational number. But if both are rational numbers, then what their sum will be? The sum of two irrational number need not be an irrational number. It means that it is not necessary that every time the sum of two irrational number will be an irrational. Let us take one example. Okay, suppose this is 2 plus root 3. This is what? This is rational number, this is irrational number. The sum of rational number and irrational number is an irrational number. It means that this is an irrational number. Okay, plus I just took another irrational number like 2 minus root 3. See, this is irrational number, this is also irrational number. Why it is irrational number? Because this is rational and this is irrational. The difference of minus means difference. The difference of rational number and irrational number is an irrational number. So, this is also irrational number. This is also irrational number. So, what is the sum? So, let us find the sum. You just open the bracket. Now, this will be root 3 and root 3 will be cancelled. You will have 4. 4 is what? 4 is rational number. Okay. Now, let us take one more example. This is suppose example A. Now example B. Again I am taking, and in this case it was rational number. Now I will take, it will be irrational number, like 2 plus root 3 plus root 3 minus 2. See, this is also irrational number, this is also irrational number. So when you will open the bracket, this 2 will be cancelled. So we will have 2 root 3. So how it is an irrational number? Because the product of a rational number and irrational number, 2 is rational number and root 3 is irrational number. The product of rational number and an irrational number is an irrational number. So this is what? This is irrational number. So you can see both were irrational numbers. Now in one case we got rational number, other case we got irrational number. So remember children, the sum of two irrational numbers need not be an irrational number. Now let's take second one. Now second one, the difference of two irrational numbers need not be an irrational number. Again the same thing, the difference of two irrational numbers need not be an irrational number. It can be rational and irrational both. Let's take one example. So example number A. So 2 plus root 3, I just wrote minus because difference is there, 2 minus root 3. This is an irrational number, this is also an irrational number. Just to open the bracket you will open, then this is minus sign, the sign will change. This will be plus root 3 and this 2 and 2 cancel, we have 2 root 3. This is what? This is a irrational number. Okay, so in this example both were irrational number and we proved it is an irrational number. Now example number B. Now again difference is there. Now I just wrote like this. So 2 plus root 3, open the bracket, plus 2 root 3 cancel, this will be 4. So 4 is a rational number. Okay, so you can see in this case it is irrational, in this case it is rational. So the difference of two irrational numbers need not be an irrational number. Now third point. Third property is the product of two irrational numbers need not be an irrational number. Means the product is also, the product of two irrational number need not be an irrational, means same, it can be rational or irrational both. Example, like suppose if I wrote root 2 and root 2. So how I'll write it? So this will be 2 into 2, so this will be root 4. So we will have 2, this is rational number. Now one example number B. So root 2 into root 3. So how to solve it? You will multiply 2 into 3. So this will be root 6. So this is what? This is non-perfect square number. So this will be irrational number. Okay. Now number 4th, the quotient of two irrational numbers need not be an irrational number. Means when you will divide two irrational numbers, it can be rational or irrational. Let's take one example. Like suppose if I took root 2 by root 2, example number A. So, I can solve it in this manner, 2 upon 2, this will be cancelled, under root 1 means this will be 1. This is what? This is a rational number. Now, if I wrote root 2 by root 3, see, this is irrational number, this is irrational number, both are non-perfect square number. So, they will be what? Irrational number. So, in first case it was rational, in second case it is irrational. So, this was the property of irrational numbers. Thank you so much.